Hello, and welcome back to the George 99.9. Today, we're doing the next installment of the record collection, reviewing the records that I currently have in my collection of about 300 records. I organized my records by genre. Record collectors, as I said in the first episode, are among the most OCD people that you can possibly find. There is no right or wrong way to organize your records. It's just how I like to do it for myself. So, the next section that we are going to be covering and talking about in my collection is yacht rock. Yacht rock has kind of become a catch-all term for many forms of soft, smoother rock that primarily came out during the 70s. Now, a lot of people turn up their noses at the concept of like just soft rock in general, thinking that, you know, it can't be rock if it's soft or blah, 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 whatever. I'm a huge lover. I'm a big yacht rock stan. I've been, Steely Dan blew open the doors for me and led to many other fantastic artists that I have come to love in my collection. Now, one thing I want to say off the top, if you are a fan or you're trying to get into some yacht rock groups, you know, like your Doobie Brothers or your Steely Dans, you are in luck, because the great thing, if you're a record collector for yacht rock, that it is common as fuck, and the records are always cheap as hell. I don't think in this entire stack of like 10, 15 records I have here, I don't think I've spent more than $20 on a single one of them, and they're all in great condition. So that's the wonderful thing about certain genres, is that they can be very easy to find and cheap, and those are my two favorite things when it comes to finding records. So let's jump right into it here. First record we got, first up, Minute by Minute by the Doobie Brothers. Now, if you're a human being with two working ears and a soul, you must know that Michael McDonald is one of the greatest gifts to humanity that we have on this earth. In the words of Adam Friedland from the Come Town Show, it should be illegal for a white man to have a voice that good. I stan Michael McDonald. He is fantastic. And while the Doobie Brothers had some great stuff in the early 70s that takes on a more traditional rock sound of the time, once Michael McDonald joined the band, with this being the first record he joined, I believe, he really transformed the band's sound to be way more sleek and glitzy and more pop-oriented. But when you're going at that angle with Michael McDonald as your lead man, it's a recipe for success. And this first Doobie Brothers record with Michael McDonald is just fantastic. You have the eternal hit, What a Fool Believes, on here, but going deeper into the record track by track, it's just a fantastic listen. The great thing about the best yacht rock records is you don't have to have a yacht. You don't have to be rich and love sipping martinis and smoking fat cigars to feel like you own a yacht, to feel like you're a rich motherfucker. Because a lot of the best music in this genre is so classy and so upper class sounding that it doesn't sound alienating in that way, but it makes you feel like you're a part of the upper class. And Minute by Minute is a great example of that. Next up, Robbie Dupree, his self-titled album. Robbie Dupree, one of the maybe second tier as far as well-known yacht rock artists of the 70s, but he encompasses a lot of that excellent production that's synonymous with the genre. He's got a great smooth voice. I'm not extremely familiar with this record. It's a more recent edition. I've maybe listened to it once so far, but it's great. It's a fantastic time, and it fits into the style perfectly. Next up, we have the first solo album of one half of Steely Dan, Donald Fagen's The Night Fly. This record is fantastic. I like pretty much all of Donald Fagen's solo stuff, but this, for my money, is his best effort, because this came out in the early 80s, so he was still fresh off of Steely Dan. So with Gaucho being their last record in 80, this is sort of like a DLC pack. If you're a fan of their 70s catalog and you just need to have more, this is a record that is an absolute must-to-have. You've got the signature, fantastic production that is decades ahead of its time, that is synonymous with Donald Fagen and Steely Dan. But the songwriting on here is fantastic. And Donald Fagen is encompassing his signature, how would you describe it? like barfly jazz DJ persona that is so like cynical, but has a very dry sense of humor at the same time. I don't mean to sound too highbrow talking about these records because I love my hard rock and my dirty shit just as much. But Donald Fagen's The Night Fly is an absolute essential if you're a fan of Steely Dan. And for some people who I've known, they hear this before they hear Steely Dan, and then they hear Steely Dan and they think, oh, it sounds like that Donald Fagen record. If you're watching this, you know who you are. But this record's just fantastic. From the first track, IGY, on through to the rest, it's a wonderful listen. All right, now we're getting into it. Do you think it would be possible for me to have a yacht rock section without Steely Dan? Steely Dan, they're going to get much praise and much talk on this channel soon to come, I promise. But here we have their debut album, 1972's Can't Buy a Thrill. And that's not true because with money, you can buy this record, and it is quite a thrill. You have so many of their early hits that really, this record is mainly all you're going to hear on the radio because this has got Reelin' in the Ears, Do It Again, and Dirty Work on it, which are their three biggest songs. But beyond those hits, you can dig in and really find some fantastic tracks like Only a Fool Would Say That, Change of the Guard, Kings, so many fantastic tracks on here. Now, while they hadn't gotten into their like signature, incredible production quality, this album still sounds great, especially for a debut in 1972. And I know the cover is a bit divisive to some folks, but I just love the cover of this record. I think it's a perfect encapsulation of the excess and the glamour that Steely Dan encapsulates, but also like this grimy, very New York kind of sound. And I think just all the bombastic colors mixed with like the women standing on the sidewalk and like the shirtless muscular guy, the neon lights, it very much is like a perfect cover for this record. Following that, Steely Dan's Countdown to Ecstasy. All I can say is it's the debut, but in my opinion, better in every way. It's extremely diverse. Their first two records are way more diverse than what they would do later in the decade. So you have them really throwing a lot of darts at the board, landing on different styles within the rock genre. But to me, every single one of them is a hit. Whether you're talking about the opening track, Bodhisattva, which is the song that got me into this band through Rock Band 2, with it being like one of the hardest songs to play on that game. The solos on Bodhisattva are just fiery and electric. Denny Diaz, one of the two main guitarists of the group when they were still a band at this time, just absolute fantastic performances on display here. The other main guitarist of this group, Skunk Baxter, his main shining moment is on the Boston Rag, where he delivers, where Denny Diaz is more like a fast-paced sort of jazzy player. Skunk Bastard is just is just a down and dirty blues guitarist, and the distortion and just the grimy, disgusting solo on that track is fantastic. But front to back, it's just such a fun album to listen to, and any record that has an opener like Bodhisattva and a closer like King of the World, where you have two perfect tracks beginning and ending the album, you could throw anything in between it, and I would still have this record in my collection. But the fact that you get so many fantastic tracks in between is all the more reason to have this in your collection. And like I said, these records are cheap and easy to find. Even a name like Steely Dan, I've gotten most of their records for between $10 and $20. And these are all old pressings as well. Like I said, it can be intimidating when you're first getting into record collecting, but definitely before you go snagging all the represses, which if you do, there's nothing wrong with that. Before you go snagging them, make sure you can't find old pressings for cheaper, because you're going to get that warm analog sound and you're going to save some money at the same time, dog, so why wouldn't you? Next up, their third album, Pretzel Logic. Uh, this is an album that me and some friends who are also fans of this band, this album's kind of a meme because of their 70s run, which is fantastic. This is the black sheep of that run for sure. There are some incredible, some of their best songs on this record. Ricky Don't Lose That Number being one of their most iconic. Any Major Dude Will Tell Ya, and Night by Night. Oh my God, Night by Night is like top 5 all-time songs of theirs. And the title track, Pretzel Logic, whew! If you haven't seen the Dukes of September live performance of the title track of this album, where they have Boz Scaggs and Michael McDonald lending vocals to it, it is just phenomenal. But the other parts, this is one example where the deep tracks aren't really as rewarding as most of their albums are. There is just a lot of goofy shit. This is definitely them still throwing darts on the board like with the past 2 albums, but they're sticking some darts in the wall and on the floor with this one, man. You got songs like Berrytown and East St. Louis Toodaloo and Monkey in Your Soul. I think from the titles alone you can kind of track how goofy and absurd they are. It's not an album that I listen to in full all the time, but with those incredible tracks sprinkled throughout, while this was the last Steely Dan record to be added to my collection, it's still essential for those fantastic songs. Next up, Katy Lied. Now this is a huge transitional moment for the band because I believe with this or Pretzel Logic is where they stopped touring. They broke up the band because it just wasn't sustainable. It wasn't affordable. And also the 2 main heads of Steely Dan being Walter Becker and Donald Fagen, they kind of grew tired of touring. They weren't big fans of it, and they kind of went the way of the Beatles of being a dedicated studio band. And with that, they really hit a great stride on this record of just their iconic, fantastic production. This album sounds luxurious. It sounds like a $10,000 pearl necklace. The songs on here are just fantastic. You get some of their most emotional, like, in general, they're a very sarcastic, cynical, dry sort of band, but you get some real emotion shining through on some of these tracks, especially with Dr. Wu. The sax solo on Dr. Wu genuinely makes me weep. It's just so beautiful. And just so many fun tracks on this, like Black Friday and Bad Sneakers, but then you get into some real off tracks like Daddy Don't Live in That New York City No More. And one of probably my favorite deep cut from this record, Everyone's Gone to the Movies, which I'll just say it's not about going to your regular movie theaters. This is a huge transitional moment for the band, and I adore it. Also, to add a point to their very inside joke, dry sense of humor, the album is called Katy Lied, and the little insect on the cover is a katydid. So, Katy lied, Katy did. Doesn't get any better than that, folks. All right, next up, 1976, The Royal Scam. Now, while I said that the production was a revolution for them on Katy Lied, while the production is fantastic on this record, it's a much more, like, it's kind of dirty sounding. This is kind of a grimy record. It serves the record so well, and the cover is such a fitting image to the sound of this record. I know they've gone on record saying they hate this album cover, but just the homeless guy with the hole in his shoe, sleeping on the bench, and you just have these monolithic towers just hovering over him with these animal heads photoshopped onto, well, they didn't have Photoshop, you know what I mean, photoshopped onto the tops of the buildings. It just really drives home how aggressive, city life can be to some of its more downtrodden citizens. And that's really captured on the music as well. You've got big hits on this record like Kid Charlemagne, which are absolute classics, but just track after track, the deep cuts sneak up on you so hard, where tracks like Haitian Divorce and Everything You Did, which may not stick out on a first listen, you just come to adore them so much. This is certainly one of their most cynical records. And I keep saying cynical a lot, but getting into the band, you'll appreciate why I mention it so much. But a shining star, my favorite deep cut from this record would be the title track, the closing track, The Royal Scam, which is it's a very sparse, it's a very spread out kind of song where it's minimalist with the instrumentation, but when the chorus hits, it hits hard with the backup singers, with the instrumentation coming in full force. The title track on here is an absolute sleeper. And for the longest time, this was my favorite Steely Dan record. I still to this day don't know if I can pick a favorite Steely Dan record because so many of them are just so fucking good. Next up, the legend, the man, the record, the myth, the legend, Asia. While Asia is the yacht rock record, the opening track, Black Cow, maybe my favorite Steely Dan track of all time. 7 tracks, there is no fat to this album. Even its weakest track, being I Got the News, is still like a 9 out of it's still like a 9 out of 10 track on an album of like 11 out of 10 tracks. One of the standout moments on this record for me is on the title track. You have Steve Gadd on drums and the legendary saxophone player Wayne Shorter, who, if you've seen the documentary, which is free on YouTube, that the band is talking about the making of this album and how they had such a rotating door of studio musicians coming in and out, where they would have 10 different guitarists playing the same solo to a song just to find the solo that they liked. So they had no issue like kicking out studio musicians like Used Tissues. But they even noted in the documentary that like when they got Wayne Shorter in the studio, they were like starstruck. They were awestruck. And they're like, yeah, of course he nails it on the first try. Like there's no criticizing Wayne Shorter. There's no second takes with Wayne Shorter. But his solo on the title track with Steve Gadd's explosive drumming in the background, it sounds like they're in a battle for capturing your attention. And just across the board, song after song, track after track, this album is an absolute classic. People recommend this as a record to like test your speakers with and test your record setup with, and I'd have to absolutely agree, because not only is this album fantastic sounding, but as a whole, it's just a record of fantastic music, and it's going to live on as an all-time classic for as long as these pieces of wax can be spun to make sound. All right, finally, Gaucho, the final Steely Dan album of their original run of the 70s. This album has a very interesting backstory. There was a lot of chaos and a lot of bad shit happening to the band members at the time of this record. And it's amazing that this record even came to fruition at all, because it has such a laid-back vibe to it. It's so, like, Asia is the quintessential yacht rock record, but this Gaucho is like the perfect sister album to Asia, where if Asia is like you're cruising on the yacht, sipping your martini, smoking your cigar, Gaucho is your laying on the beach, you know, catching a little sunburn, sipping your pina colada, just drifting away, listening to the sounds of the ocean. Gaucho is a beautiful, beautiful record. It's an excellent sunny day record. If you're in a situation where you're by the pool or you're on the beach and you need something to fit the scenery, Gaucho has got to be your absolute go-to. But you've got absolute bangers to boost on this album. You've got the first song, Babylon Sisters, with that legendary Purdy shuffle, baby. Bernard Purdy plays, I believe, a good chunk of the drums on this record, and it's an absolute standout performance for sure. But just the songwriting across the board is fantastic here. My pick for probably favorite deep cut on this record would be Glamour Profession. Glamour Profession sounds like runway music. It's like a 7-minute long funk track that just sounds like what it's talking about, like the glamour profession. which is a song about selling cocaine, I think. They like that. They like talking about drugs and things of that sort a lot. But Gaucho, like I said, I can't pick a favorite with theirs, but Gaucho may be currently my favorite. I can listen to this record any fucking time, and I love the album cover as well. That painting of just the couple dancing, like really, like this is an album you can get with your lover and just hold them close and get into a slow sway, a nice groove for the entirety, and this record's gonna carry you through. And then to finish it, to round out this genre, here we got the man Gino Vannelli. Gino Vannelli, he's most well known for his track I Just Want to Stop, which is one of my least favorite songs of his, but digging into the records a little more, he's got a lot of great tracks to offer. Now, I'm holding this one here, Storm at Sunup. Now, I grabbed this on a whim a little bit ago because it was like $2 or something. Like I said, Yacht Rock is cheap as fuck. I have not actually listened to this record yet, but the album that I can praise to the high heavens, Brother to Brother. And oh, brother, this album is fantastic. This album, in certain parts, goes so hard, it borders on like proto-metal at times. Now you've got the opening track, Appaloosa, which just has this fantastic driving groove to it. So much conviction in Gino's vocal performance on that opening track. And then once you get to, I believe it's the first track on side 2, the title track, okay? Listen, if you can dunk on yacht rock, you can dunk on soft rock, all you want, okay? But please, if you do me the favor of only, if you listen to one song, listen to the title track from this Gino Vannelli record. Because it's like, it's yacht, but it's prog, it's like proto-metal, there's like, it's so energetic, it's so intense. The interplay of the musicians, they just sound like they're trying to trample over each other to get the top spot in the mix. But they work in harmony so well at the same time. There's this awesome part where like, it's flipping back and forth between the bass soloing and then the drums soloing, and they both sound like their hands are about to fly off because they're just using them too hard. Amazing. The whole record, aside from the big hit I Just Want to Stop, which is on this record, I don't really like that song very much. It's a bit too saccharine for my blood. But the rest of this record is like the total opposite of that. This record hits hard, it's gonna leave an imprint, it's gonna leave a mark, and if you listen to one song from this whole video, please listen to Brother to Brother from this album. And that's it. That's what I have right now rocking in my yacht collection. Certainly I'll be making a video talking about the genre a little more in depth. There are some great records, some of the best records aside from Steely Dan, that I unfortunately don't have in my collection yet. Gentlemen like Ned Deheny and Bill LaBounty have some of the most fucking towering achievements in the style. I hope to find them one day, but I've never seen those records in the wild, unfortunately. Like I said, a lot of yacht is like really easy to find and is really cheap when you're talking like Gino Vannelli or like Steely Dan, but when you get into the weeds a little bit, it gets a little bit tougher. But anyways, I'll talk about those when I make a more in-depth video on this genre. So yeah, let me know. What do you think of yacht rock? Are you a conformed hater who became a lover? Have you always loved this music? Are you still a hater and you just watched this video out of pure curiosity? Well, give it a try. And if you are already a fan, give it a listen anyways, because you love it already. But this was the next edition in my record collection of the yacht section, and I will be seeing you next time on the next genre that we cover here. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening here on the George 99.9.